What's going on YouTube? Flashy here and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. Today's build is absolutely insane. Honestly, it's been the only one I've been using when I'm playing on my Hunter. And now don't get me wrong, I do love Strand and the new Super, but as you're seeing from the clips on screen, this Void Hunter build has such an addicting gameplay loop. You're always going to have Devour up, which is going to insta-heal you. You're constantly invisible, which is going to give us some really nice buffs. You're making literally hundreds of orbs per activity and weakening all the enemies for your fire team. You are literally a void machine when it comes to this build. Now, before we get into it, be sure to leave a like on the video. It helps out the channel a ton, and hit subscribe so you get notified of new Destiny 2 videos right here. But let's get into this ultimate Void Hunter build, starting with the subclass, of course. We're going to be taking Shadow Shot, Mobius Quiver. Having the 2 volleys of 3 arrows just works so well. You're going to be generating tons of orbs and making everything volatile. Really solid Void Super, but honestly, Deadfall does work well if you like it a little bit better. So it comes down to preference, but again, I'm always going with the Mobius Quiver. For our abilities, the dodge is up to you. I kind of interchange these based on what my loadout is, but for now, let's go with Gambler's Dodge, recharging our melee ability when we dodge near enemies. For our jump, we're going to grab Triple Jump. Our only melee option is Snare Bomb, which is going to weaken enemies. And for our grenade, we're going to go with the classic Vortex Grenade. And moving over to the aspects, we're going to take Vanishing Step, dodging makes you invisible, and Stylish Executioner, defeating Void debuff targets grants invisibility and True Sight. Another great way to stack up invisibility. And for our fragments, there are tons of really solid Void fragments in the game now, but the 4 that I like to run with this build are Echo of Undermining, your Void grenades weaken targets; Echo of Cessation, finish your final blows, create a burst of Void damage that cause nearby combatants to become volatile. While that is good and all, I don't really do finishers too much. What we're really looking at is defeating volatile targets creates a Void Breach. Now, Void Breaches are actually new, but if you played Destiny in the past expansion, it's basically like a well. Every time you pick up a Void Breach, you're going to get class ability energy. But to take that even a step further, we can grab Echo of Starvation. Picking up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power grants Devour. Honestly, Devour is easily one of the best buffs in the game. Every time we defeat an enemy, we instantly regain all of our health and get grenade energy, and the timer resets with every single kill. And finally, Echo of Persistence. Void buffs applied to you have increased duration. Again, we're always going to have Devour. We're always going to be invisible, so getting that increased duration is just really, really clutch. And now, before we get into the weapons and armor, it's important to look at the seasonal mods, because this is why Void is so overpowered in Destiny 2 right now. First, we have authorized mods. Void armor energy costs of all armor mods affecting your Void weapons are significantly discounted. So instead of costing 3 energy, they only cost 1. Volatile Flow. Picking up an Orb of Power grants your Void weapons volatile rounds. So now every time we pick up an Orb of Power, we're going to have volatile rounds and Devour up at the same time. Then we're going to want to get Shatter Orbs. The first time you break a combatant's shield, you create an Orb of Power if you break the shield with a matching damage type. So any activity with enemies that have Void shields is literally going to become your Orb of Power playground. It's absolutely amazing. Every time you see those Void shields, you're literally just going to get so happy because you know how many orbs you're about to make. Another great seasonal mod is Bricks from Beyond. Defeating a powerful combatant with a Void weapon has a chance to generate heavy ammo for you and your teammates. And we also have Void Weapon Channeling. You gain a temporary bonus to Void weapon damage after you defeat a target with a Void weapon and have at least 1 fully charged Void ability. The more fully charged abilities you have, the greater the damage buff. So our Void weapons are getting damage buffs. They're creating orbs for us. They have volatile rounds. It just gets absolutely crazy. Void weapons are absolutely insane right now. And speaking of weapons, there are tons of Void ones that work great with this build, of course, depending on your playstyle. But some that I would personally recommend based on ones I've been using with this build. Number 1 has to be the Harsh Language Waveframe Grenade Launcher. This thing just absolutely shreds. Any shields, any enemies, they all just get destroyed. One of my favorite weapons in the game right now, without a doubt. Pair this with the volatile rounds that you're always going to have, and things get a little wild. Of course, the Funnel Web is another great choice. Some of you definitely have a god roll of this thing laying around somewhere. And interestingly enough, the Graviton Lance Exotic Pulse Rifle is really solid too once you get the orbs and the volatile rounds going. And for our heavy slot, we have a few options as well. The first one that I like to run is the brand new seasonal grenade launcher, Regnant. This thing is fantastic when it has volatile rounds. You just nuke any group of enemies in massive Void explosions, both from the grenade launcher and then the volatile rounds on top of that. Also, the brand new exotic machine gun, Deterministic Chaos, is great. With the intrinsic trait of heavy metal, holding down the trigger, every 4th bullet becomes a heavy projectile and weakens targets on impact. Again, pairing this with those volatile rounds is awesome. Also, if you want to get really zesty, using the other half Void Sword is awesome because the volatile rounds cause everything to explode with every swipe of the sword. So now that we have our subclass set, we got our whole arsenal of different void weapons that work well, it's time to cap off this build with the armor and mods, and the first thing we're going to be taking is the Graviton Forfeit Exotic Helmet with the armor perk Vanishing Shadow. Increases the duration of visibility, and while you are invisible, your melee recharges faster, your weapons reload faster, and your recovery is greatly increased. Now between our dodge making us invisible and our stylish executioner aspect proccing, you're going to be invisible a lot, so getting all of these buffs very regularly just turn you into a beast. Now also, Gerfalcon's Halberd is a great choice, but honestly, we'll always have volatile rounds due to picking up orbs. So I just like the invisibility benefits that Graviton Forfeit give us. But maybe if you don't have it or you prefer Gerfalcon's, choice is yours. Again, I like to use the Graviton Forfeit. So looking at armor mods in the helmet, we definitely want to be grabbing siphons. Obviously, Void Siphon is the go-to. Rapid Void Weapon Final Blows create an orb of power. You could also use Void Strand Dual Siphon. Does about the same thing, but also includes Strand. Really good choice right there. And I also like to grab Dynamo. Reduces super cooldown when using your class ability near targets. Obviously, we're going to be dodging near enemies a ton, so getting that super back is really nice. For the gauntlets, I like to grab Grenade Kickstart, get a boost of grenade energy back every time we use it. Momentum Transfer, causing damage with a grenade reduces melee cooldown, and Bolstering Detonation grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a grenade. Honestly though, feel free to stack any of these however you see fit. I just like kind of the jack of all trades approach because anytime we're using any void abilities, we're getting back some other void ability. And on the chest piece, some solid mods that you can take. One being Emergency Reinforcement. When your shields are broken, you gain temporary damage reduction. And I also like Void Reserves to increase the amount of ammo we can carry for our void weapons. This comes in really nicely, especially when you're using something like the grenade launchers. And then honestly, pair any of these resistances as well. These work good for like any build. And finally, on the cloak, very simply, we're just going to be grabbing Reaper. After using your class ability, your next weapon final blow spawns an orb of power. Even more orbs to be made. So as you can see from this build, we are going to be constantly regenning our abilities and super, stacking up literally hundreds of orbs, and constantly having our volatile rounds, invisibility, void weapon damage buffs, and we just become a master of the void. Such a fun build. Again, this is literally the only one I've been using when I'm on my hunter. I don't even think I have all the strand fragments yet, just because I stay on void the entire time. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments if you decide to try this out. Tell me what you think. If you guys are interested in the appearance customization I use, that is on screen now. If you want to go ahead and screenshot it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.